Hello and welcome to another pattern recognition video featuring some more simplification patterns. So I had a pretty good response in the first video on these simplification patterns, which covers how to trade down into an advantage or a winning endgame. So white has just moved here, bringing their queen forward and attacking our queen. Now, if we want to trade down, normally you want to trade down material, and before you do that, you should take a look at all the material on the board and see if you're winning, losing. How is the material situation? We have 6 pawns versus 6. We have 2 rooks and a queen, a pair of bishops versus a pair of knights. So material-wise, we're even. Now, the obvious move would just be to go ahead and capture here. But if we do that, the knight would just recapture. Then we could go ahead and capture their knight. Attacking their knight and pawn, they would capture. We break up their pawns. And then we could go after this pawn. But whenever you're looking at tactics and before you make a move in your own game, look for checks, captures, and threats in that order. We don't have any good moves that check the opponent's king, and they don't really have anything that would check our king. So now we look at these captures. We looked at the queen move, but do we have anything better? If we capture with the bishop, the queen could just drop back, but then we could go after that knight. So maybe that's an option. We take out this knight because this knight can't recapture. Otherwise the queen will be unprotected. And if we capture and they go after our queen, well, then our bishop could recapture. So that could be an option to capture with the bishop instead. Once again, we'll just double check this queen capture. If we take, if they take, then our bishop would be under attack. So perhaps it's better to capture with the bishop. If we take and they take, we would be forced to capture. Their knight would be under attack. They would have to move. All right, so now it's looking a little bit tricky. Also, our bishop is under attack by the queen. So, if we capture, they take our queen, we pretty much have to recapture with our bishop. Then we're just ahead in material. So, all right, I'm going to go for that. All right, now we can just go ahead, take that. Or is there a better move? We go after the knight for free here. So here we just wind up a bishop ahead. So that was a little bit tricky if you're a beginner. That was supposed to be rated 1,000, and I set these puzzles from 500 to 1,500. So if you're trying to improve your pattern recognition, which is kind of a shortcut in chess, where you just look at a bunch of puzzles, solve a whole bunch of puzzles, but remember to go over them more than once, because if you just do a puzzle once, you'll more than likely forget that pattern. So try and pick a set of puzzles and go over them multiple times. You can do that with a book. On chess.com, you can go into the history of the puzzles that you've solved before. You could do it that way to go over puzzles more than once, but you have to click on each one. It's a little bit more time consuming. Or you could watch this video. I'll try and speed it up here. All right, what do we have? Knight just captured a pawn. Now it's our turn. What can white do to simplify the position? Well, if we're trying to simplify material, we could go here, attacking. When the king moves, if we capture the rook, so here, king would move where? Maybe move up towards the center. But then we'll be able to pick that off. The king will have to recapture. Then we can go here and guard the queening square, but it's going to take us 3 more moves to get up there. So you could have 1, 2, the question is, if we're checked, where do we go? And can our pawn make it up there? So let's look at this again. We go here and check. King moves. We take. King takes. We go up here. The knight goes there. We have to be careful if we push that pawn here, because then the knight could just go here and fork our king and the pawn. So I don't know, that doesn't look so good. Should we just start pushing the pawn now? I don't know. Then the rook can start chasing us. So I don't know. I'm still thinking this move. We attack the king. King moves. We go ahead and capture. The king recaptures. If we go there, the knight is going to start running towards us. I don't know. That endgame doesn't look too good. So let's see. I'm just going to play it out and see what they say. So if they want us to take that, okay, and it looks like we have to go up here. No, okay, they don't like that. What is the other option then? Oh, wow. We push the pawn immediately because the pawn, if the king goes here, the pawn can push up and block the king from coming over. Okay. So if we push that pawn, what's the other option? Knight here. Yeah, it can't stop it. So yeah, that was what I overlooked. That pawn pushing immediately, and then once it goes here, it prevents the king from being able to come over and go after that pawn. All right, that's a pretty valuable endgame um, pattern there. You know, definitely you might want to take a look at that move again, or that problem again. All right, let's move on here if I want to try and get 10 of these in. Okay. Um, Rook has jumped up here to h3. Now we're trying to trade off material. So look for checks, captures, and threats in that order. So maybe we check the king, driving him back. But then what is our follow-up? See, we also have to worry about this move. Capture with a check. Huh. All right. Oh, wow. Yeah, we probably just want to push our pawn. Is there any way to stop that pawn? Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to push the pawn. If the rook captures and tries to get in behind here with check, that'll give us time to go here. And that should be winning. So there we go. Then we go here. And the king can't go up here, and the bishop, of course, can't go up there either to try and stop this pawn from marching up. All right, on to the next one. Hopefully you're doing well. Pause the video at any time if you need more time to think. Knight has jumped forward here, applying more pressure to the knight along with this battery. And this pattern seems familiar. I think it was in one of the previous simplification pattern videos. I'm pretty sure it was. And that's what I was saying. If you go over these puzzles more than once, you'll start to remember them. So I'm thinking we just capture. We just capture their knight. Then they either capture here, and we can capture there, or we capture their knight. They capture with a check first. We capture. Queen captures. King captures. And then that gives them time to recapture. And then our bishop captures, and they'll have a trapped rook up here. So capture, and now their rook is trapped up there. They could give up their knight, which might be a little bit better. Then we take their knight, and then their rook could move. All right, we're almost halfway there. We just had a capture. What now? What should we go after? The bishop just captured, so obvious move is to maybe go after the bishop, but we could capture the knight, and then we're threatening to take this. If the bishop moves, we could move our rook up here and fork the king and queen. But we also have to look for checks. Remember, look for checks, captures, and threats, not only against your opponent, but what they can do to you. If they have a surprise check, that may turn the tide. So, if we capture, they could go here, we would have to move. That gives them time for another move. They could just go here, I guess. Then we attack their queen. Alright, I don't know. That looks like that works, but let's see what the computer says about it. Oh, and they don't even go any further. So I guess, even if they check us here, we just move, but we have a threat of taking that. If that bishop moves, we have the threat of going here and forking king and queen. All right, on to the next problem. Bishop is attacking our queen, and if the queen moves, the rook will get picked off by the bishop. All right. Well, what can we do here? Probably just ignore it. Counterattack here and attack their queen. If their queen takes and we take, well, we'd have an extra queen. So if we capture, they capture, we capture, do we come out ahead in material? So let's look at everything. We have an equal number of pawns, bishop and knight, so everything's even. So if we go here first and they take our queen, then we grab their queen. If they take our rook, that gives us time to pick off their bishop. So I think that works. Because we also have this check, and then we can pick that off, and we come out ahead a bishop in that. And, that should be enough to win in this endgame. All right, 4 more to go. Queen is just captured in the center. We could trade off queens here. Queen is attacking our knight. So what do we do? Well, looks like we just capture the queen. If we capture the queen, the knight could recapture, but then we'll take their bishop over here with our knight. Does this check do anything? You always have to keep an eye out on the checks. So if we take the queen and they decide to throw a check in, they could get our rook, but we'll just be ahead in material. So, it looks like we should just do that. And then we just grab this. We're just ahead material. So we have 4 pieces and they have 3. Pawns and rooks are even. All right, 3 more to go. Okay. Well, I hope you're doing well in these puzzles so far. Queen has dropped back, attacking our queen. What do we do? If we're trying to simplify, we should probably just trade queens. If we do that, then we can pick the knight off next. So let's look at material to evaluate this position. So pawns, we have 6 pawns. Our opponent has 5. So we're ahead by 1 pawn. Pieces are even. So yeah, it looks like we should just go ahead and take the queen. If they recapture, then we could take the knight, but then they can capture our rook. But then we would get rook, or excuse me. Oh, hold on. We have this capture as well. So, all right, it's a little bit tricky here. So a little more calculation involved. If we take and they recapture. Gives us time. We can go ahead and capture here. Then we're attacking their rook. If they take our rook, we can take their rook. So anyway, we'll be ahead in material there. So we just go ahead and capture. And if they take our rook, we recapture. And our rook gets out of the line of fire from their bishop here. All right, 2 more to go. Knight has jumped forward, attacking our queen and bishop here. So we probably should just go ahead and capture. If we capture, that exchanges some material, but it does give up our bishop pair, which is probably fine in this position. All right, pawns. 7 versus 7. Okay. All right. I don't know. It looks like that's probably the best thing to do unless I'm missing something. Oh, wait a minute. No, that wouldn't work either. Oh, okay. Maybe there's a good follow-up. We take. If they take, well, now we can move up here, forking the bishop and this mating square here. So capture and then the fork. So they protect, but we're able to pick off their bishop here. All right, I hope you found that one. And the final puzzle. Okay, we just had a capture. And all right, this is a little tricky. If we try to recapture, well, then they could capture this way or with the queen. What would be better? Okay, hold on. The obvious move is to go ahead and just recapture, targeting the queen and king. So they would be forced to capture that bishop. If they capture with this, well, either way, if whatever they recapture with, if the rook captures, we can go here first, capturing with check. If the queen captures, we can go ahead and capture and then go after this. So I don't know, that looks to be the way to go. So now, once we do this, we can capture with check here. So hopefully you found that. Now we're just ahead by a rook, by an extra rook. And they're in check, so the king has to move, and that'll give us time to get our knight to safety somewhere. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed those 10 puzzles, pattern recognition problems. If you're trying to improve your pattern recognition, like I said, just pick a set of problems, whether it's 10 like this or 20 or 100, however many. A book is easy. A lot of times you can find a book with a few hundred problems in it, and you can just go through the book nice and slow, and then you can go through it again faster. And I've had viewers ask, well, what books do I recommend? There's just so many, and it depends on whether you're a beginner or an intermediate or a higher level player. If you're a beginner, you want easier puzzles, of course. So because there's so many, I won't recommend anything specific. You can just Google or do a search, for different books, and there's so many out there. Or you can just find an app that has puzzles, and do a set and repeat through those again. All right, well, leave comments. I always enjoy hearing from viewers and subscribers. Like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day.